This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices. You can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee right now by going to pilchpoint.live/PureVPN. Avram, it's my favorite time. You have a show and tell.
Yes, I do have a show and tell. So let me tell you about. Let's see this. Okay. So first, the main thing I want to show and tell today is this new ThinkPad, which is the T14s. But there's a couple of T14s on the market. This is the T14s Gen 6 with a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor inside. Well, this is a 14-inch laptop. The 14S has been around a while. It's one of Lenovo's more popular ThinkPad models. This one has a 1920 by 1200 display, although you can get it. I believe you can actually configure it if you want with up to a 2880 by 1800 OLED panel. Not that I would recommend that because that probably would hurt battery life. Uh, the thing that is most impressive, I'm in the middle of reviewing this now, is that this lasted for 21 hours and 3 minutes on our battery test. So our battery test involves surfing the web at 150 nits of brightness until until uh, until it dies, and it took 21 hours to do so, which is incredible because most even lightweight laptops don't get past 12 hours, and this is better than the MacBooks any of the MacBooks have gotten. The new Dell XPS 13 with Snapdragon was also 20 plus hours. So clearly, some of these Snapdragon laptops are pretty power efficient. Although here on my right, I have the Surface Laptop 15, which was, I think, about 14 hours of battery life. So, you're not guaranteed to get the 20 hours of battery life just because you're using this processor. Uh, so, uh, this laptop doesn't start at, is starts at $1,200, but this model here with 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, and the Snapdragon, um, it is the Snapdragon X Elite X1 E78100. That I think this is the top of the line Snapdragon chip, and the 1920 by 1200 screen is about $1,700. Um, it weighs only 2.6 pounds, so very light. Has the really fantastic ThinkPad keyboard that we've all come to know and love. The screen on this unit here is pretty nice. Not all, you're not every laptop with a 14-inch screen, or not every ThinkPad with a 14-inch screen is going to do quite as well as this. This got up to 450 nits of brightness, which is good if you're near a sunny window or outside. And it managed to reproduce 99.8% of the sRGB color gamut, but 70% of the DCI-P3 gamut, which is wider. So, we've seen more colorful, but still pretty colorful. Um, this has a 1080p webcam up here with IR for facial recognition for Windows Hello. Another thing that's kind of neat is this is super duper thin here. And yet you see that there is room for a full size. There's two, I believe these are USB-C ports because Thunderbolt would only be uh, for for Intel. They may be USB 4 ports. I should check that. But what it does, it has a full size HDMI out It has Wi-Fi 7, and on the other side, you see it has two USB Type A ports. So it has, uh, you know, all the ports that you would want. Now, this is, and one thing I like about some of the newer ThinkPads is they have this little lip here. That's for the, that makes it a little easier to open them. It also provides room for the webcam. Uh, Another thing that's kind of cool on the newer ThinkPads, which is not just this one, but any that have come out in like the last year or so, if you double tap on the track point, you get this special menu. Uh, right here it says, "Welcome to the track point quick menu." Um, but I'm trying to figure out how you could actually override the quick menu and have the double tap do something else. They don't have software for it, but I was trying to figure out how to code something for it in Auto Hotkey, but I haven't figured it out yet because the Lenovo gave me what the supposed to be like they asked the character code for the double tap on this, and it didn't do anything. So I don't know, but really nice bright screen. Um, good performance on things like our handbrake test and Geekbench. But this is a Snapdragon processor, so there is a possibility that there are some things that it'll have to go into compatibility, emulation mode to 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 run. Although most things I found, a lot of stuff things do have an ARM for Windows version now. It is getting more and more common, so it's not too much of a risk to go with. Um, and you'll get really, really strong battery life. I mean, I certainly would not try to play any games on it, but then again, you don't buy a laptop like this to play games anyway. So, um, so pretty cool. I would say though that it is not significantly cheaper. It is about the same price as a ThinkPad X1 Carbon with Intel Meteor Lake inside. Now, this will this Snapdragon processor is better for AI workloads because it has a powerful NPU in it that does up to 45 tops. Tops being the kind of the measure. I think it's trillions of operations per second. Uh, the key measure for neural processing units. The Intel one, I think, only does up to like 12 or 15 tops. I mean, we're all waiting for Intel to come out with their new processors that will have more tops. AMD has just come out with new processors that have an NPU with more tops. But realistically, there's not a lot of workloads that really benefit from that. There's the Copilot Plus features of Windows, but they're not that exciting. I mean, you have the one that gives you background blur, which you can get anyway, and you have, Recall has been permanently, well, not permanently. It's supposed to come back in October in beta. The Recall thing that remembers everything you've done, and then there's like the image generation, which in Paint, which you can just do with the cloud-based version, the Copilot version that's built in. You don't need the NPU. So I don't know. I'm not overly impressed with the AI features that Microsoft has put on so far. I mean, there may be more benefit for the NPU in the future, but I think the number one thing you can say about this is 21 hours of battery life is really impressive, especially when the X1 Carbon that we tested, which, like I said, is about the same size and about the same price, lasted only like 9 hours on a charge. So, um, so that's really impressive. Over here, I have one more little goodie. This is the ThinkPad T14, not S, and it is significantly bigger and heavier. It is also 14 inches, but it weighs. Do I even have the weight written down here? This is definitely over 3 pounds. Looking on Lenovo's website, it says um, it weighs at least pretty. What they even list the weight? I have to weigh this, but It says it starts at 3 pounds, but it feels a lot more than 3 pounds. It feels like it's elite. It feels like 3.5. Um, so this is similar, although this one is in silver color, but you could get it in black if you want. The default screen on this is not nearly as nice in terms of, it's also 1900 by 1200, but the color reproduction on it is not nearly as good. It managed only 61% of sRGB and 43% of DCI-P3, so really dull colors. But you can configure this with a better screen. One thing though that is interesting about this is, um, and I'm not going to open it up for on air, but this has been certified by iFixit as a highly fixable laptop. So you can pull the bottom off and you can upgrade your own RAM. I mean, the other ones you could upgrade the SSD, but this you can upgrade the RAM and the SSD, and it's a bit easier to replace other parts as well. Although, generally speaking, unless there's something broken, uh, the main things you would want to upgrade are the RAM and the SSD. Um, so this is a bit thicker. It starts at about 1400, and so it's not really significantly cheaper. It does have some more ports. This one here, not sure if this is standard, has a smart card slot. Holy old technology, Batman. That's like, who uses that? I guess some really old point of sale systems or something. This has an Ethernet port, which kind of pulls down a little bit. Standard USB, Thunderbolts, and full size USB Type A, and full size HDMI. So, um, you know, overall, I don't think the T14 is very exciting, except they sent it to us because of the fact that you can more easily upgrade it. Um, but I think the big news is that the T14s, gets really, really strong battery life. And a lot of these Snapdragon laptops talked about having strong battery life, and their version of that was like 14 or 15 hours, which was really not that much better than some of the, Intel based laptops we've seen that were getting, you know, we've seen like an Asus ZenBook that was getting like 14 hours of battery life with Intel inside, granted with a slightly higher capacity battery. But I mean, that's really impressive, 21 hours of battery life. Now, do you need 21 hours of battery life? I don't know, because it's variable, right? Our test, it produced 21 hours of battery life, but if you pump up the brightness like a lot of people would, it would be less, right? Um, so I guess it really depends. I mean, for me, I think getting something that's around 10 to 14 hours of battery life would be fine. I mean, you could always use more, but these days there's outlets in a lot of places, and now with fast USB charging, it's not as dire as it once was to have, you know, 10 to 12 hours of battery life. Uh, but it's still quite impressive to see how much battery life you're getting out of this.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's crazy battery. And, depends on your situation. Not unusual for us to go a full day, say on the CES show floor with with a laptop.
Yeah,
But, my mother probably doesn't need 20 hours. So, it all depends on
yeah,
use case.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and your 20 hours might not be really 20 hours, right? So,
Right.
I would like that. I would have, for me personally, I would still be a little wary of the Snapdragon chip, not because it's doing pretty decently, but still, I feel like I haven't found a lot of incompatibilities yet with ARM, with ARM processors in Windows, but
Mm-hmm.
I would have some concerns
Yeah.
um, about uh, about it. And if it were like I was saving a lot of money for doing it, like, oh wow, these were so much cheaper uh, for jumping on this, I wouldn't say unproven, but more risky platform of having
Yeah.
a Snapdragon chip, then that would be one thing. But they're actually not any cheaper. So, but you may get better battery life. On the other hand, one thing is that the model that Lenovo sent us had a 1920 by 1200 display, and longtime viewers will know that I really came down hard on companies for having low resolution displays like 1366 by 768, which used to be the base resolution. Now I think that 1080p or the 1610 equivalent, which is 1920 by 1200, is probably desirable on if you care about battery life, because the higher you turn up the resolution, the more power the display is going to use. Also, if you get a display that is more than 60 hertz, as a lot of the newer panels on laptops, you're getting like 120 hertz display. And if you're not gaming, I just don't see why you would want 120 hertz display, because that means it's going to refresh twice as much. That has to use a lot more power. So, obviously, going for a lower resolution, lower refresh rate screen probably helps, when you have a choice. And a lot of consumer laptops these days, they're really trying to push OLED, and they're trying to push like 2K, 3K resolution, and they're even trying to push, 120 hertz or 144 hertz screen on something that's not even made for gaming. So I mean, I think that's something to keep in mind when you're shopping. And that's probably part of the reason that this got 21 hours, but it wouldn't have gotten to 21 hours with Intel, because we've seen that Intel is just not quite as power efficient. Now, let's wait and see, because the new Intel chips are due out very soon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's quite possible that they will achieve parity with Qualcomm on battery life, or they'll get a lot closer. So it's hard to say, but it is a nice milestone to see 21 hours, especially when you look at that the battery on this thing, on the T14s, is, I believe, let's see what it says here. The watt hours are, I think it's like 52 or something. Yeah, 58 watt hours. So 58 watt hours to get 21 hours battery life is pretty good.
Yeah.
The X1 Carbon, like I said, they got 9 hours at a 57 watt hour battery. So, um, now some companies manage to give you a higher capacity battery, like Asus in one of their ZenBooks, which was Intel, gave you a 71 watt hour battery, and that's how it got to 14 hours. Mind you, it was still pretty light, so was really no penalty for the user. But anyway, you could imagine if this had a 70 watt hour battery, how long it would last.
Yeah. It that would last forever. Uh, I know. I know you are actively working on the review for this, but I imagine it is going up soon-ish.
Probably this week. We have a busy week ahead of us, but probably this week. I also want to mention that this week there's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening on Tom's Hardware, because uh, we're getting to IFA 2024. IFA Berlin starts on September 6th, and there will almost certainly be some new stuff shown there, new things, announced and released around the IFA time frame. So stay tuned.
All right. Well, obviously, look forward to that. Always enjoy these conversations and getting to see some new hardware. I'm definitely intrigued by by the Qualcomm push into the Windows world. Obviously, beyond what was Windows RT. Um, it's good to see this different ecosystem. And seeing that things are pushing in that direction. We just saw DaVinci Resolve officially put out the ARM version of Resolve this week. So there's a lot of stuff happening around it, but things like that kind of are what you were talking about. Concerns over compatibility and such. DaVinci just put their ARM version out this week. So, not everything is necessarily there, but pushing Intel and AMD to innovate, I think, is an important aspect of this. So, hopefully we'll see some good things from everybody in the near future. Well, Avram, definitely appreciate the show and tell. I love a good show and tell when you've got stuff. So, appreciate that, and I look forward to what we talk about next time. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Piltch Point with Avram Piltch. If you did, please subscribe to our channel, and of course hit the notification bell, since subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. And if you've got topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you don't want to follow us on YouTube, that's okay. There's a lot of other ways that you can follow our content. You can find all of that by going to PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all the different ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.